So we've talked about the first lens you should buy for your Sony APS-C camera. If you haven't seen that, then there's a card up here somewhere, probably. But what about your full frame camera? What should be the first lens you get for that? There's quite a high chance that your camera did come with a kit lens. And although the kit lens is a great place to start, you're soon going to find that you outgrow it. You most likely bought a full frame camera because you want to get super shallow depth of field. And when you get this super shallow depth of field, everything just feels a little bit more premium. But you can get this look without paying a premium price tag. Yes, on the moment I'm shooting this on a £1,000 20mm 1.8 lens. But for just 150-ish pounds, you can get this. This is the Sony 50mm 1.8 and this is what it looks like. And like I said, you can get it for about £150 or even less if you shop around. I paid just £90 for this when it was on offer in Curry's PC World. And you can still get that super shallow, sexy depth of field shot. Ooh, sexy. But there's another reason, a more fundamental reason that I'd suggest going for a 50mm 1.8 first. And that reason takes us right back to the fundamentals of photography. Film photography. You see, back in the day when you would buy a film camera, chances are it would come with a 50mm lens. This is a 50mm 1.4 Canon lens, but it would usually come with a 50mm 1.8. And that's why if you ever go charity shop hunting for cameras, you'll always find cameras with a 50mm 1.8. And what's the reason for this, you might ask? Well, 50mm on a full frame camera is the closest equivalent to what we actually see in our field of view. And it's a great starting point if you're just getting into the world of photography or videography. Buying a prime lens instead of a zoom lens will really help you realize that you've got to move around to get the shot. You can't just stay in one static position. You need to use your feet to zoom instead of actually zooming. And the 50mm 1.8 is sharp. I mean, super sharp. And that's because they put so much R&D into that lens over the years that everyone kind of knows what they're doing to get a decent 50mm 1.8. And that's also why they're so cheap. Starting off on a 50mm 1.8 really helps you decide on what you're actually missing. Do you want to shoot wider or do you want to shoot more zoomed in? You might find that a 50mm is just perfect for everything you need. If I could only have one lens for my camera, it would be the 50mm 1.8. And this is where I really started my photography journey, understanding aperture, understanding shutter speed, understanding ISO. It was with this lens. I had just bought the Canon 550D with the kit lens, and the kit lens I thought was amazing until I tried this and I was like, okay, that gets me really excited. Story time. The first 50mm I ever bought, I went and bought it from Jessop's in Cardiff and I couldn't afford it. I bought it and shot with it for 2 or 3 days and absolutely fell in love with it, but I had to return it about a week later because I just couldn't afford to keep it. Eventually I saved up and I bought it again, and best decision I've ever made. And I've been in love with the 50mm ever since. And since buying that first 50mm, I've gone on to buy several more of them because you never know when you're going to need a 50mm. I've got them in all different shapes and sizes, so it doesn't matter what camera system I'm shooting on, I've always got access to a 50mm. And don't be put off, because the first time you mount a 50mm onto your camera, you might think, this isn't for me, I'm going to go buy something else instead. But just stick with it a bit. Go out, shoot with it. I promise you, you'll fall in love with it, just like I have. Oh, that last shot, by the way, that's not all the 50mm I own, that's just all the ones I could fit on my arm. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to watch another one of my videos, why not try this one, where I share my top 5 tips for beginner videographers. Thanks for watching, see you again really soon.